July 17, 2007, at 9 p.m. in San Antonio, Texas, gunshots rang on North San Gabriel Street. Police were dispatched to the location to find the body of a male lying on the street pavement with multiple gunshot wounds. Police secured the scene and paramedics arrived and attempted to render aid. Paramedics pronounced the complainant deceased at 9:07 p.m. The crime scene investigation team move in to process the scene for evidence. Witnesses gathered to speak to the police. Officers obtained statements from 3 witnesses. Joe, the victim's brother, was not 100% truthful with police at the scene. He said that he took his vehicle over to his brother's house because he offered to work on the stereo system. While they were working on his Mitsubishi Montero, he noticed the complainant start walking toward the street. Joe kept working on the wires and did not pay attention to Lazarus, nor could he see him from his point of view. Suddenly, he heard gunshots, and he immediately hit the ground next to the Montero, knocking over the shade umbrella. He ran out to the street, knowing that his brother was shot. He saw a white Ford Escort or Tempo, 4-door, 1982 or 1983, which fled northbound on San Gabriel. When asked where Roger Reyes was located, Joe denied knowing Roger and claimed that only 2 people, Lazarus and himself, were in the driveway. Joe became evasive when he was asked additional questions. When told he would have to go to the station for a statement, he said he did not want to go. He wanted to give his statement at the scene because he did not want to be at the station all night. Joe did not show any outward signs of sorrow that his brother was shot to death directly in front of him. He yawned as if very sleepy mid-conversation. While speaking to him, he realized that his Montero was shot by 2 rounds. He seemed very upset about his car getting damaged and showed more concern about the vehicle than about his brother being shot to death in front of him. Joe was transported by police to headquarters for a statement. Roger, a friend of Lazarus and Joe, was present at the time of the shooting. He left the scene and was later located standing at the corner of Rivas and North San Gabriel. When contacted by detectives, he said that he witnessed the shooting and talked to police when they arrived. He said the police never told him that he could not leave the scene. He was scared because he has never seen a person shot before and walked away. He watched from the church parking lot at the southwest corner of Rivas and North San Gabriel. While standing there, he said an unidentified girl told him that police were looking for him. He immediately contacted police officers on the outer perimeter, who then contacted detectives. Roger was transported to headquarters for a statement. Ronald, the victim's neighbor, said he was in his bedroom located in the rear of his house. He heard 1 shot, which he initially thought was a firecracker. Then he heard 3 more. At this time, he realized that they were gunshots and went to his front door. He looked out of his front door and saw the complainant lying in the street. Next to the complainant was a white Ford Taurus, 1996 through 1999, with tinted windows. The vehicle was facing southbound and stopped. As he was looking out of his window, he saw an arm protruding out of the driver's side of the Ford, pointing a handgun down at the complainant, who was lying on the ground. 4 shots were fired at the complainant while he was lying on the ground. The vehicle then drove away southbound on North San Gabriel toward Rivas. He said he could not see the occupants of the vehicle, nor could he tell how many were inside. He believed the windows might be tinted. He then saw the complainant's brother run to the complainant's body and grab him by the waist. He heard yelling and heard the family yelling out the complainant's nickname of Pallone. Ronald seemed confused because he heard the name Carlos called out as well. He thought it was possible that they also called the complainant Carlos. Ronald was very cooperative and transported to headquarters for a statement. The Bexar County medical examiner arrived at the location and examined the complainant's body. As she examined, Detective Bell observed the following injuries to the complainant: a laceration under the left eye, possibly a bullet wound, another laceration to the forehead over the right eyebrow, possibly another bullet wound, a bullet wound to the center of the chest, another bullet wound slightly above and to the right of the bullet wound to the center of the chest, a laceration to the head over the left eyebrow, possibly a bullet wound behind and below the right ear, 3 bullet wounds to the lower back and center of the head, a bullet wound to the lower right of the back, a bullet wound to the upper left of the back, finally, a bullet entry and exit wound through the upper part of the buttocks. It was not clear which were entry wounds and which were exit wounds. The body was then transported to the Bexar County Medical Examiner's office. A description of the suspect vehicle was broadcasted via the police radio. While conducting burglary surveillance at the animal care facility, a park police officer on duty saw a vehicle that matched the description of the suspect vehicle. However, before he could catch up to the vehicle, 2 individuals abandoned the vehicle and fled on foot. A few moments later, suspect Flores was apprehended in a nearby ditch and taken into custody. He was wearing a black shirt and jeans which were soiled and wet. A second suspect in the vicinity, named Jose Fuentes, was also apprehended and taken into custody. Witnesses were driven to Fortuna and Fortuna Place and shown the abandoned white Ford by police. They are asked to identify the vehicle that they saw flee the scene. Roger said that he believed it may be the same car involved in the shooting, but cannot say that he was completely sure. Ronald positively identified the white Ford Taurus from which he saw the gunshots fired. After the opportunity for identification, witnesses were taken to the San Antonio police station for official statements. Joe Severance's statement at the police station was different than the one he provided at the scene. Joe Severance states he was at 516 North San Gabriel because his brother Lazarus, the victim, offered to fix the wiring for the stereo and the fuses on his Mitsubishi Montero. He said that he saw the victim exit the Montero and start walking toward the street. He did not hear if someone called Lazarus from the street. Joe continued to work on his Montero and was lying down in the truck when he heard 2 gunshots. He fell out of the Montero and onto the ground. When he looked toward the street, he saw the victim on the ground and the driver of the vehicle shooting the victim. As the vehicle drove off, he saw the shooter still shooting at the victim as he was already down on the ground. Joe believes that he could identify the shooter if he saw him again. Roger Reyes's statement at the police station was much more detailed than the one he provided at the scene. Roger said he was at the victim's home when the shooting happened, and he was outside by the Mitsubishi Montero that belongs to the victim's brother. He said he was talking to Joe. He had his back toward the street, and Joe was facing the street. Roger said he saw the victim get out of the Montero and walk towards the street. He heard 2 gunshots and dropped to the floor, and then heard 6 more gunshots. Roger then saw a white Ford Tempo or Escort drive by going toward Rivas Street. Ronald Schmitka's statement at the station was consistent with the statement he provided at the scene. Ronald said that he was in his bedroom when he heard a single gunshot. 2 seconds later, he heard about 2 or 3 more gunshots. He went to the front door and looked outside toward the street and saw a white Ford Taurus with 4 doors pointed south on North San Gabriel. He saw the white Ford Taurus stopped with the headlights on, and the driver's side of the vehicle was towards Ronald's house. Ronald heard 4 more gunshots. He saw the gun flashes were shooting towards the ground right next to the suspect vehicle. He could not see how many occupants were in the car because it had dark-tinted windows. Ronald went outside after the suspect vehicle drove away, and he saw the victim lying on the ground, face down on the gravel, and he was not moving. He heard someone say, "Bro, get up," and said he saw a guy try to pick up the victim. Meanwhile, Flores was in custody at police headquarters. At 11:55 p.m., Flores told Detective Mendoza that he wanted to talk to law enforcement about the murder, but first he wanted to make sure that his family was safe. Detective Mendoza read Flores his Miranda rights and had him sign the card. Flores admits that he was in the white Ford Taurus and bailed out of the vehicle. While running from the police, he fell into the creek. Before moving forward in the conversation, Flores then told Detective Mendoza that he wants a guarantee that his family would be safe. The detective told him he could not make him any promises. Flores asked the detective to call his wife to make sure she is safe, and the detective honored his request. Detective Mendoza made a telephone call to Flores's wife and children and confirmed that they were all safe. Once Flores received confirmation, he then agreed to speak to Detective Mendoza. He admits to being affiliated with the Mexican Mafia. He claims that higher-ranking members sent him and the suspect to murder the victim. He claims that the hit was ordered because the organization suspected Severance of being an informant. Flores claimed that he only knew the second suspect for about a month and did not know his name. He said that the suspect told him he received a traffic ticket in the white Ford Taurus the day before. He later says that the suspect's last name may be Mendoza. Detectives show him a single photo of the suspect. Flores denied that being the suspect. Fuentes was put in an interview room, and detectives then allowed Flores to watch the monitor. Flores denies that Fuentes is the suspect. A 3-photo array was presented to Flores, and he denied recognizing any of the individuals in the pictures. Flores informs detectives that he knows about the murder that occurred on St. Bernardo the week prior and would be willing to provide information if his family's safety would be guaranteed. He also requested his release from custody as a condition. He claimed the murder was Mexican Mafia related. Detective Mendoza informed him that he could not make any guarantees, but could contact someone who may be able to aid with protection and the investigation. Detective Mendoza contacts the intelligence unit to inquire about protection. The intelligence unit is debriefed and included in the investigation. Flores admits to being in the vehicle during the shooting. He claims that he shot a .380 caliber gun into the air when he saw someone running toward the victim. He shot the gun to scare them and keep them away, but no one other than the victim was near the car. Flores said in the new interview that he called the victim prior to the murder, trying to get the victim to meet him over at a car wash. The complainant told Flores that he was at his house working on a vehicle and asked Flores to come over to his house and deliver the drugs. Flores said that when he arrived at the complainant's house, they called him over to the vehicle and started shooting. Flores said that he only shot up in the air to scare off the people that were watching, and none of the witnesses were near the suspect vehicle. July 24, 2007. Flores made a request to speak to FBI about his existing federal charges. Detective McCampbell, Intelligence, and FBI gathered for a visit to Flores in the Bexar County Jail. They showed Flores a photo array of individuals for identification of the suspect. Flores identified Julian Rodriguez as Dreamer. August 7, 2007. Joe was taken to the station to view a photo array of the actor Dreamer. Joe could not identify anyone on the array. August 23, 2007. An arrest warrant for Julian Rodriguez was signed by a magistrate judge. Rodriguez was served with the warrant by Detective McCampbell. He did not make a statement about the victim's murder. Flores plea bargained with federal and state law enforcement officials for leniency on his pre-existing federal charges. The state of Texas sentenced him to 30 years in the Texas Department of Criminal Justice for the murder of Severance. Javier Flores is currently serving his 30-year sentence in the Ramsey Unit in Rocheron, Texas, just south of Houston, Texas. He became eligible for parole on July 17, 2022. Currently, his projected release date is July 16, 2037.